Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are on to Divine Mercy Radio and Television Service. There's a Boya, and the program on air is Marriage in God's Plan. With me in the studio is a very special couple. They have been married for more than 10 years. Both of them are state-registered nurses, and they are very deep in the medical profession, well qualified, experienced, and very dedicated a couple. With me is Mr. Musina Otto. Mr. Musina, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Father. It's a pleasure to be here.
And he didn't come alone. He came with his beloved wife, Madame Becky Musina, who is also a state-registered nurse. Madame Becky, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Father. I'm very honored to be here.
And they are a wonderful couple, a very lively couple, and they are blessed with 3 healthy, strong boys. Wow. This is God's grace working in your family, Mr. Musina.
Yes, Father.
Okay. We have to go straight into our topic of discussion. You know, many people, when the other day I was passing around the junction there at the hospital junction, and I saw a lady I know so well coming back from the hospital, and I said, wow, you are from the hospital. Are you sick? What took you to the hospital? Said, no, today we had a family planning in the hospital. And when I decided to inquire more what family planning is all about, I discovered that she was talking about she went there and the doctor advised her on a kind of a particular bed pill or a kind of a contraceptive, an artificial contraceptive to use in order to regulate her birth. And I discovered that when generally people say birth planning, natural family planning, they are simply referring to a kind of the particular pill which they use in order to regulate their birth. Mr. Musina, maybe I will start with you. Is birth family planning the same like birth control, or is there is more to it?
I must say there is more to it, Father. First, I would like to, first of all, define what family planning is all about. Before going to talk about what natural family planning is. Family planning is the concept or a program of limiting the size of families through the spacing of children or the prevention of pregnancy, especially for economic reasons. Economic reasons in the sense that you might want your children to attend better schools. You might want to build a house. You might want so many things to happen to your family, maybe for religious purposes also. And then you adopt these methods. Going on to natural family planning. Natural family planning is the method that uses the body's natural physiological changes and symptoms to identify the fertile and infertile phases of the menstrual cycle. Natural family planning relies on the ability to track ovulation in order to prevent or achieve pregnancy. These methods predict fertile and infertile days to identify when to avoid or have unprotected coitus, and are only used by a small fraction of women. It is a holistic approach that couples can use to prevent or achieve pregnancy in a nutshell.
Okay, in that case, it will mean that when we are talking about family planning, we not only limit ourselves to number of children, bed spacing. It entails more than that. For example, like you rightly mentioned, the family size, shelter, education, Maybe Madam Mosina Beki, you may want to look at it more and add more to it, because people will want to limit family planning only to procreation and bringing up of children.
Thank you, Father. To add more to what my spouse has already spoken, we know family planning to be a means on how to couples will sit and decide on when to have children, when to go to church, how to sit in church, when to build a house, when to even take your child to the hospital for medical checkups, when to have that child, how long do you want to space that child? Because if a family sits and they are well, their activities are properly structured, they will have a good family.
Wow.
They will achieve what they want to achieve at the right time. And they will know where to settle, the right place to settle, and how to go on with their activities.
Wow. Family planning is a bigger term. It's an umbrella term involving so many things. Finances, shelter, education, all of this. As a family, you need to sit down and plan for them. They don't happen by chance. People must sit down and they say failure to plan is planning to fail. So if you want to raise a family, you better sit down and plan all of these things. They are part and parcel of family planning. Don't just go and start carrying some small things there and start saying that this is family planning. No, as I rightly explained, family planning is an umbrella term with so many things involved. Now, Mr. Mosina, maybe I will start with you. People confuse natural method of family planning from artificial method of family planning. Maybe you may want to throw more light on this before it can help our viewers to be able to understand clearly when we are talking about natural family planning, what is it all about?
Thank you, Father. Natural family planning is a way of life. Contraception or artificial natural family planning method is any action taken before, during, and after coitus to prevent pregnancy. Whereas natural family planning, which is a science, which is an art, which is grace, involves a lot of things. As a science, you want to get to know that natural family planning involves the biology of the human fertility. That's as a science. And the biology of the human fertility is broad, meaning that there are so many things involved, which is when the woman is having her menses. We have the follicular phases, we have the ovulation, and we also have the luteal phase. All these phases are what makes natural family planning a science, because a lot of things are involved when the woman is ovulating. Before the man comes in contact with the woman, so many things happen. There is these changes. There are also so many things involved. For example, when a woman is ovulating, the phases that are involved, the follicular phases, there is what we call the mucus. These mucus that come out of the woman have various, I must say, various textures.
Appearances.
Some are sticky and some are slippery. They determine a lot of things. That is the science in everything, because it involves the body.
It means that as a science, natural method for family planning can be learned in a regular way, and like you rightly explained, it involves studying the biology of the woman's fertility.
Exactly, Father.
The woman's fertility, and of course, women carry a cycle where, Madam Becky, maybe you may want to throw more light on it. Fertility alternates with infertility, and so once it is well studied, it can be understood and it can be learned as a science, Madam Becky.
Yes, Father, thank you. As a science, we say the natural family planning deals more with the man who has a sperm and the woman who has so many changes in her system. The egg must be produced, there must be ovulation, the fallopian tube must be ready to carry out the activities. So with this natural family planning now, as my spouse have already spoken, with all the biometers that it has, the mucus and everything, it is going to help now in the whatever natural methods that the couple will decide. From that couple now, their decision will help them to carry out the natural family planning, when to achieve a pregnancy, when to postpone a pregnancy, when to buy a car, when to build a house, and how to go on with their budgeting in the house. That's what natural family planning is talking about.
Wow. So, dear viewers, if you got it well, it is a science. It is a science and it can be learned. And therefore, both the man and the woman can learn it, they understand it, and they practice it in a wonderful way. When to achieve a pregnancy, when to postpone a pregnancy, or when to just for a temporal time or just a limited or a short period or for an indefinite period because of some circumstances. All of this can be learned. And some people think that it is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. But some say it is also an art. It can be learned.
Yes, Father, it's an art. It can be learned. It can be practiced among couples. For example, my lovely wife here, we do practice it. And on so many occasions, we've trained other people on how to go about this method. It's easy. You and your spouse are involved. You check the mucus. You check whether it's tacky, whether it's sticky. And then you chat. With this chatting now, you will know whether if you have to achieve a pregnancy or you have to postpone a pregnancy. I must add something here, Father.
Yes.
There are so many people who suffer from infertility according to what they say. But because they don't understand these psychological changes that take place in their body, when to engage and when not to engage. Some will engage, and until when is that right time now for them to achieve pregnancy, maybe they will be tired or they will be too excited. And then the emotions now will play on the mucus. And now that mucus, which only purpose is to drive that sperm to meet the egg,
for the egg to
meet the egg to swim, which is only purpose is to allow to swim, for the egg for the sperm to swim. You know, can become in a way that it will not be able again to do its job because of overexcitement. Couples should learn to be very free whenever they are thinking about achieving a pregnancy. So many people have problems. So many couples have problems. Some go for other methods in order to achieve pregnancy. But I think that this method, the natural family planning method, is that method that, if well studied between the couples, the male and the female, so many things will happen. They will have their kids, they will regulate how they have their kids, and they will maintain a very good family.
Now, Mr. Musina, let me just hang on with you a little bit. Some men don't want to get involved in learning this natural method of family planning, when to achieve a pregnancy and when not to achieve a pregnancy. Maybe you stand a better chance because you have studied this, you were trained, and you are able to practice it with your wife, and because of that, now you will stand a better chance and you understand it better to tell those out there, those men out there who don't want to take time to study these things, to learn it, and to be able to practice it in their marital lives. And this ignorance is one of the major disasters that causes the collapse of marriages and even the achievement of pregnancies by so many couples.
Yes, Father. Just like you rightly said, we stand a better chance. As a man, I stand a better chance to advise other men. They should be patient. Because communication is the key to a healthy relationship between a husband
And the wife.
and the wife. You and your wife have the responsibility to communicate on these aspects. One, it prevents a lot of violence in their home. Because if pregnancy is not achieved, the male will be thinking that is the problem of the female. The female will be thinking that is the problem of the male. And then there is violence now. And because there is no communication, there is violence. Whereas, if the man gets to understand that there is a method,
there is a way.
There is a way that can help me to achieve a child with my wife, which is if I communicate with her and we follow this process, we'll get to achieve pregnancy and there'll be a lot of peace at home.
And Madam Becky, you will agree with me that couples who at first were thought to be infertile have learned this method with their husband, that's both the man and the woman, and they have been able to overcome this whole idea of infertility, and they have achieved so many pregnancies.
Yes, Father. You know, as we rightly said, this natural family planning is an art that no matter the level of education, you can practice it. If you are only guided step by step, you will practice it. And you just need to be patient, as my husband has said. You just need to be patient, and then you enjoy the method in which you have chosen. Everything will pass well. And if you have chosen a method, you just follow the pattern. If it's to chat, that communication flows, because like the one that we are doing the couple-based methods, which involve chatting. Every day he has to monitor my mucus, and then he will chat. This method, why they say it's an art, because it is not somebody doing it alone. The couple has to be there. When you chat, you tell your partner, this is what is happening. So you have to, he will monitor your menstrual cycle, and the two of you will gain it. You will gain what you want to achieve. That's the child.
And it's in that way it's easier to get to achieve that pregnancy, and also help you, to be able to establish that bond that is supposed to exist between the man and the woman.
Exactly, Father. There's going to be that bond that is going to exist between a man and a woman, because there is this communication that goes on, like what me and my wife used to do. Get up in the morning, I have to check the mucus. Whether I'm engaged in coitus or not, I still have to check the mucus to find out if the texture is okay, and then I chat. So that communication, that bonding is always there, and this thing helps a lot. It helps a lot in keeping the couples together.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for that wonderful explanation. Let us have this another musical interlude, and we shall be right back. Let us have this musical interlude.
Oh, be for me.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are on to Divine Mercy Radio and Television Service. That is Oboya, and the program on air is Marriage in God's Plan. And today we are looking at natural family planning, a blessing or a curse. Already, I'm joining the hosts on the platform with my wonderful couple, wonderful guest here by the Mosinas, Otto and Becky Mosina. And we have been able to explain, they have been able to explain to us that natural family planning is a science, it is an art, and it is also a grace. Now, maybe let me begin with you, Madam Becky. How is natural method family planning a grace?
Thank you, Father. Natural family planning method is a grace because you need this grace from God. You need to have the Holy Spirit to be able to carry out these methods. I bet you it is not an easy journey to holiness. So to have that grace, you must be able you have to have kind of honor for yourself and that of your spouse. You must be able to love him and love yourself. See one another as God's creature. In that light, you have to forgive yourself. Even when you have that urge to have something and you know that no, my body system does not want me to do this activity now, so you have to forgive yourself for that, for taking that decision, and then you dialogue now to your spouse. And you must be truthful, because if you are not truthful, you chat something and you fool your spouse. Because following your natural body temperature or the mucus, and if you are not truthful, you may mislead one another. So you need God, and that grace or that passion is being gotten when you are married, when you have the sacrament of marriage. You'll be able to achieve that.
And given that marriage is a sacrament, and a sacrament brings special graces to the husband and the wife, so that they are able to live out that vocation to holiness, yes, in a wonderful way. And so the couples also need the grace of God. They need the assistance of the Holy Spirit to be able to live out that marriage in a natural and beautiful way. Maybe Mr. Musina, you may want to add more to what Madam has said.
Just like my wife said, natural family planning is grace. It's a couple's journey through holiness with God. You must be truthful. You must perform a lot of selfless services. The Holy Spirit must be there to guide you people. Then you can achieve all this. That is why it is grace.
Wow. That is why it is grace. If you are just tuning in, you are on to Divine Mercy Radio and Television Service. The Diocese of Boya, and the program is Marriage in God's Plan. And today we are looking at natural method of family planning as a blessing. Natural family planning, a blessing or a burden. And they have said it is a science, it's an art, it is also a grace. And as a grace, therefore, I would like people to be able to help to distinguish from our viewers there. Because some people think that when you practice natural method of family planning, it is also the same. After all, does it not mean struggling to avoid pregnancy or to achieve pregnancy? Is the same like artificial contraceptives? Maybe we need some distinction and clarity here to be able to understand. Maybe I will begin with you, Mr. Musina Otto.
Yes, Father. Just like I mentioned earlier, contraception or artificial contraceptives are an action taken before, during, and after conjugal activities to prevent pregnancy. Whereas the natural family planning is something which you do to prevent or achieve. The other one is just to prevent. You don't do it to achieve. That's it. And then there are a lot of things that involve contraceptions. One, they are expensive, whereas the natural family planning is affordable. Anybody can do it. You don't buy anything. You know, you don't buy an implant to put on your arm or something. You don't do those things to it. You know.
But before we get to that, maybe I would like you to, as a nurse, a medical practitioner, this artificial contraceptive probably will have so much some side effects, which many people who go into it, they plunge themselves into it, they're experiencing those negative side effects, and they may not even know that this is precisely what is causing all of these problems.
An example will be multiple bleedings. When you go into artificial contraceptives, when you stop them, you might have multiple bleedings. You might have some kind of menstrual cycles that last for long. Your cycle can take a whole month. It's just blood is just flowing because of those pills that you used to take. And when you stop them now, there are a lot of problems that happen to you. Multiple pregnancies too are one of those side effects that happen to people who take artificial contraceptives. Multiple pregnancies, when you stop them, you start to have, today you are pregnant, tomorrow you are pregnant again, just like that. They just keep coming, you know, because of the fact that you were involved in contraceptions. So there are a lot of side effects that involve the contraceptions that we would not like to dwell into. But then we discourage all those things. We are against them.
Madam Becky, you agree with me that other side effects could maybe include things like permanent infertility, because these things are chemicals. Artificial contraceptive may chemicals which may cause some kind of permanent infertility in some women who have been using it, and when finally they want now a child, they find it difficult to achieve pregnancy.
Yes, Father, I strongly agree with that. On that point, you know, with artificial family planning, you need so many chemicals has been sent to your body. You take in drugs, you take several hormones that get into your system. The process of as they are dissolving, they may even distort your system.
Upset it.
Now you will not even know how your mucus are flowing, anything. You will not understand your system. It interferes with the human body a lot. Surgical, there are also some procedures that you have to pay for that service. You have to pay in, like the surgical procedures, you need to pay. So it's not advisable. It's not really advisable.
And so it is not advisable. Artificial contraception, first of all, from the word itself, contra, septus, it means against conception.
Yeah.
Using chemicals to fight against conception is fertility, a danger to couples. And unfortunately, a lot of ignorance is being manifested there, using chemicals to be able to fight. And there are many more dangers. When those chemicals are used, you, the woman, you become a target.
Yes.
And you are being used as an object of pleasure, object of use. Be warned, do not fall a victim to artificial contraceptives. It reduces you to an object of use, to an object of pleasure. Now, let's come back to, after making that distinction there, let's come back now to the importance. Or does it have any blessings? Natural method of family planning. Is there any blessing for it?
It's a blessing. Imagine something that you and your wife can be practicing. It's a blessing. Whereas with artificial contraceptives, your wife can be like, I don't tire the man with the baking thing. And she goes behind your back and inserts an implant into her body, you will not know. You'll be there looking for the child. You'll be looking for the child you cannot have, but you don't know that madam has gone behind your back and has put something
in her
system that is preventing that child from coming.
And that is living a lie, not being truthful.
That is living a lie, not being truthful. That's why we say it's not truthful. And when you do those things, it's not grace anymore. It's not holy. So that is it, Father.
And you agree with me that also, Madame Becky, it has a lot of advantages, a lot of importance in your life as a couple.
Yes, Father. I strongly agree with that point. You know, when you practice natural family planning, you have a small sanctuary in your house. Your room is your sanctuary. That's where the day begins, because you have to discuss with your spouse. And then that's where you share a lot of love and intimacy, because when you are practicing it, he's just your friend. You look at your husband as if he's your senior brother or your daddy. Yes. And then it helps the woman out to understand her system, because when you start chatting or you start following up the natural methods and something is wrong with your system, you easily detect it.
You can dictate what is wrong.
Yes, you can easily detect. And as couples, if there's a day that you don't feel like talking to one another, you must talk to that person.
It increases communication.
It increases communication, Father. You need to talk, because like us, we are chatting. How can I do a day without telling my husband that today I've seen this or X and Y, because I need to find goal beats. So we need to communicate. And in that communication now, you will discuss whether you are postponing your pregnancy, you are achieving, or tomorrow you want to buy a car. That's a planning. You want to do something, or you have somebody to visit. You are planning about your family. You want to pay your child school fees. That communication is flowing as you are checking yourselves. And then it involves so many things. It's so cheap. You don't pay anything. You don't go for any special classes.
Unlike people who go for artificial contraceptives,
you need to pay.
Every day they are paying huge sums of money.
Yes, Father.
And natural method of family.
It's ignorance, Father.
That's why we are here.
That's a good one.
because we want to make people to understand that there are other natural means, methods that you don't have to spend any
amount of money
to do. You don't have to lie to your partner. You know, that involves communication with your partner all the time. It's open to life. You know, that's why we are here, to educate people that these things can be done. Some people think that it's very difficult. This natural family planning can be achieved. It can be done. It can be practiced by couples. Some people say that, Ato, your woman will tell you, say this, so today, we're not going for Duam. Because when I come Musanga, it's not like that. It's not like that. We've received a lot of questions from people that have been teaching these methods. You know, some people will tell you, you get hate, so today no go Duam. No, it's not like that. You do these things. It's just that you have to know that this period is good to postpone and this period is good to achieve. And if you are postponing, it means that you have to respect when it is not supposed to be done, and you do it only when
you think that is necessary.
You think that it is necessary. So that is what natural family planning is all about.
And what can you talk about? Because if you compare in terms of simplicity, so people want to, oh no, it's complicated. Is natural method of family planning really complicated?
Father, it's not complicated. For example, you must have that discipline, that self-discipline. Because you are the male, you are the one to check the mucus of your spouse. And if you don't have that discipline, you know, we are humans. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't have that discipline, you will not be able to practice it. Because once you check, which means that you have to insert your fingers, and then you check which of you have to insert and remove the mucus to find out whether it's
fertile.
The consistency of the mucus, whether it's, you know. Some people, if you don't have that discipline, you will not be able to obey. But once you are disciplined, you know that, okay, this is it. All I need to do is check and chat.
That is all. And it means that what you are saying is that one of the virtues really needed to be able to practice natural method of family planning is that area of discipline.
You must be disciplined. You must be completely. You must be super disciplined.
And what about in terms of violence? How do you see natural method of family planning as a means of combating marital violence? Do you fight, Madam Becky? Do you fight with your...
No, Father. But at first, when we were not involved into this natural family planning, there were days that we were fighting indoors. You understand what I mean? You may understand. There were days, but when we became couples, the word couples, where love and responsibility was the main word. That fighting had to reduce because you need that discipline, like he has spoken. You need to be loyal to to one another. You need to be loyal. There are so many things that you discuss because as you start the day with communication and intimacy, the days goes by. It's like just having.
Tell you that you don't need to abort because there will be no pregnancy. If you want to postpone. You understand? There will be no need for you to abort because, but if you want to achieve, you
welcome.
Yes, it will be welcome. You know, I'm planning to have it now.
So in that way, you exclude the possibility of abortion.
Yes.
There will be no abortions.
Abortion is totally excluded
in the natural method
because you are using
family planning.
You are using the natural method of family planning, so there will be no abortions. Because you postpone when you want to postpone, and you achieve what you want to achieve.
That's it.
And it means that when you get engaged into this artificial method of birth control, some of those pills, some of those chemicals are really abortifacient. And some of them, they don't prevent conception, they don't prevent fertilization. All that they prevent is implantation. Implantation. And once they prevent it means that a human being has been conceived, but the human being has been simply deprived.
Yes, Father.
Deprived of coming to the stage of viability. So, natural method of family planning, in that way, we can therefore say that actually natural method of family planning is a blessing.
It is a blessing, Father. It is a serious blessing because I don't spend a dime to practice it.
And you save the little money that
I'm supposed to use to take care of my kids instead of going to put something in my body or you know, that kind of a thing. So I mean, it's readily available. You know, you and your wife can discuss about it, and then you go up. It's open. It strengthens marriage, you know, and family relationship.
Strengthens marriage and family relationship.
Yeah. It promotes communication, you know, between you and your spouse. Some marriages are really terrible, you know. A man will get up from bed and he goes. You know, no time to tell madam that, hello, how are you? You know, no time to even pick your wife. She comes back from work or you come back from work. You don't care about each other. All what you need is your food. From there you go to lie on the bed and be on your phone. So, but with natural family planning, you got to love your spouse. You communicate with her all the time because you guys are on something. There is something which is bonding the both of you together. You see, we don't want to have a child. You know, we want to buy our car tomorrow. We want to build a house. We don't want to do this because we want to do this. So all those things, it helps a lot.
Madam Becky, is also a blessing. You'll agree with me in terms of infidelity, marital infidelity. How do you see natural method of family planning and the whole question of infidelity? Because those who practice artificial contraceptives, since the woman knows that she cannot become pregnant, don't you think that it can just give her a leeway to be unfaithful in the marital home, unlike natural method of family planning, which makes both of you are nearly permanently together and it may exclude?
Yes, Father. With natural method of family planning, you cannot cheat. But when you have these artificial methods, you go in, like I earlier said, you tell a lie to your spouse that today I know they fine. But once you are practicing the natural methods, and the two of you as couples, because it is not a single person's idea, it's an idea for the two of you. But when you want to do the artificial method, like for example, you say you need a condom, you can skip from A to B to Z. But with this natural family planning methods, I bet you, Father, it's very, very difficult
for somebody to your spouse to cheat, because you are always together.
You are always being monitored. Monitored by yourself before your spouse. So it is not an easy task. It is far way better, and it's very, very affordable. We encourage everybody for that, because you will not spend a dime. You will not spend, and you will not even pick up an illness, because with natural family planning, you understand that natural family planning will not prevent you from any disease condition. So you will be very, very careful. But when you have a condom or this artificial method, you go in unprotected, and you just go in a way a rough game can easily pick up something.
A disease HIV, and even hepatitis B is transmitted now. And some people live a lie thinking that condoms can prevent transmission of those diseases.
But it's very risky,
because statistics even show that in cultures and societies where condoms are used, that is where there is a higher rate
of prevalence,
of the disease,
of those STDs.
Yes. So let us have this short musical interlude, and we shall be right back. Please don't go away, and we are about to draw the curtains here. Let us have this musical interlude, and we shall be right back. Wow. Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are on to Divine Mercy Radio and Television. That is Boya, and the program on air is Marriage in God's Plan with host, I'm your humble host, Father Nicholas Nanji Ngo. And we are almost coming to the end of our program, and we have had a wonderful and lively discussion here, and we want our guests to be able to give us their final word as a way of concluding this, our wonderful program today. So let me start with you, Mr. Musina. Any last word as far as this whole idea of natural family planning? How do you see it? Is it really a blessing? Any last word?
Father, it is a blessing. I'll begin by saying that there is what we call marital chastity. There is respect when you practice this method. There is no infidelity when you practice these methods. There is God's grace for you as couples when you practice these methods. It promotes the harmonious well-being of a family. Every woman can use it. Even those who are presumed infertile can still achieve pregnancy if they practice natural family planning methods instead of contraceptives.
Wow, thank you so much, Madam Becky. Any last word?
Okay, for my sisters and brothers out there, I would strongly advise you to go in for natural family planning methods because it is a key way of life. When you practice natural family planning, my dear, you are going to live a responsible parenthood fully. And God's on the top of your marriage, everything will work well. This grace, art, and the science that we have all spoken about, you are going to practice and you will enjoy it. We should not forget that when we practice natural family planning methods, we should not practice it as an individual, because when you leave your spouse behind and you go, you will not benefit it. And we should also try to communicate with one another so that this cooperation will go and it will flow a long way to have a committed marriage. Do not break the chain when you are chatting or you are following up this pattern. Do not break the chain because it's a very risky method. Very risky. So you need to be committed when you are doing your natural family planning. The moment you realize any change in your body system, please go to the hospital and consult so that you will continue that chain. And if you have any changes in your discharges, don't hesitate to go to the hospital for anything. Thank you, and we hope to see you again.
Wow. Natural method of family planning is therefore a blessing. It's not a lie. You are missing out there by not practicing natural method of family planning. It is here that we draw up the curtains of today's edition of the program, Marriage in God's Plan. And thank you so much for being with us, Mr. Musina. And thank you also, Madam Becky, for taking time off to talk with us and to be able to share with our viewers. We hope to have you again subsequently in our subsequent edition. It is here that we draw the curtains of today's edition of our program. You can have a replay of this program on Friday at 9 a.m. in the morning and on Sundays at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, so that you can be able to savor what you could not afford to get today. You can be able to savor them on Friday 9 a.m. and on Sunday precisely at 1 p.m. Until then, see you next week for a fresh edition of the program Marriage in God's Plan. God bless you.